The Super Bowl's down the hatch, Texas basketball is getting a rematch, and the baseball team looks like a real catch. All this and more on College Crossfire. What are those?
He's coming back for that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that.
Well, Justin Tucker gives him his 99 rating in Madden.
Ceiling is the roof. There is no roof, so they have a pretty high ceiling.
SAT or the ACT? let's really see how.
That's enough talk. Let's talk. Welcome to College Crossfire. I am your host, Drew Jacob. As you can tell, we're in comfy chairs now. Let's make the rounds. On first base, we've got a returning champion, Carter. Carter, how you doing today?
I'm doing great tonight. I really did win last week, but I'm looking to stack wins, and I'm coming back hungry tonight, so I'm ready to get started.
Absolutely. Carter's looking to start a streak, everybody. Everyone else beware. That said, we've got Marcus. We've got the boss on second base, everybody. Marcus, how you doing?
Pretty good. It's been a while since I've been on the show, so I thought I'd, Super Bowl week, I'll come on. I got my lucky football player shirt, so see if it'll do me well.
Very good. Very relevant for this episode, especially our first round. But before that, Evan, how are you doing today?
It's my first appearance since a bit of an embarrassing performance in the Tournament of Champions, so just looking to turn it around, put my heart out there, and just get a dub.
We have had so many contestants this semester mention the Tournament of Champions. It left a lot of battle scars.
Yeah, it is bad.
Well, that said, it's always another opportunity to win, so enough talk. Let's talk. Super Bowl 56 has come and gone, with the Rams standing atop Mount NFL, holding their first Lombardi trophy since the franchise was in Missouri, and Britney Spears' hit single, Hit Me Baby One More Time, was in the Billboard Top 5. And just like their 1999 title win, it was a nail-biter. In a game as close as this, one impactful moment can make all the difference. So, panelists, what was the single most important play in Super Bowl 56? And on this one, we're starting with Carter.
Well, cornerback Jalen Ramsey of the Rams caught a lot of flack for his performance in the Super Bowl, but I think he made the most important play of the game with 34 seconds left in the first quarter. Rams were up 7-0. And the Bengals were driving, looking to tie up the game, and Jalen Ramsey broke up a pass intended for T. Higgins in the end zone. And when Ramsey did this, it totally shifted the dynamic of the game. The Bengals only got a field goal instead of a touchdown. Rams ended up winning by 3 points. If Jalen Ramsey doesn't break up that post route in the end zone, the Rams don't win the football game. Look, Ramsey gave up 5 catches for 160 yards in the Super Bowl. Was not his best performance, but he made the most important play of the night.
Excellent. Sounds like he got absolutely cooked except for that one important play. Very bold going with the first quarter play, but the math does check out. And with that, we're going to Marcus next.
Drew, I have a philosophy I came up with about an hour before the show. In a close game, the last play is normally the most important play. And in this case, we had 2 last plays, so I should get double the points here, but I digress. Thank you.
Convincing the audience, yeah.
Thank you. Aaron Donald, the best AD in Los Angeles, got 2 huge plays at the end of the fourth quarter. First one being the one where P. Ryan almost gets first down, but Aaron Donald drags him back. That's a huge play because they're at the 50-yard line out there. If they get that first down right there, they could very well get the field goal and then tie the game up. And then the last play of the game, Aaron Donald almost sacks Joe Burrow. Almost sacks Joe Burrow, causing him to throw the ball away, ending the game, and that's a huge play. If he doesn't make those 2 plays, 2 very difficult plays by the way, the Bengals very well get the field goal, tie the game. We all know about the overtime rules, how they're kind of whack. Bengals could have won the Super Bowl.
This is true. I think I accurately predicted your answer based on peeling back the curtain a little bit when we watched it together, and those 2 plays convinced you that Aaron Donald was the MVP of the game. And frankly, he was a great candidate. Those are 2 very important plays. It really felt like Burrow and the Bengals were on the warpath. It felt like overtime was inevitable. Aaron Donald said, no, no, no.
He should have got an MVP.
90 yards, 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. That's for a later question. But for now, Evan, you're going to finish this one off.
Yeah, that's why it's unfair sitting in this seat. We got him. He stole my answer.
You gave 2 answers. That's
I was going to give 2 answers too. I thought it was going to be creative. Give 2, but
you know I like definitive answers.
He made a good point. I'll make a definitive answer on the fly. You know what was the most important play of the game? Cooper Kupp stepping on the field the last drive of the fourth quarter for the Rams. He had been a little quiet during the game. He's been the best wide receiver in the NFL the whole year. But he single-handedly took over the Rams' offense and won them that game. I think Stafford played well throughout the whole game, but he wasn't able to find Kupp. until that last drive. And to be honest, I think Kupp had about 60 yards in that drive and a touchdown, and pretty much carried that offense the whole way through. There was no real running game. He wasn't really able to find any of the other receivers with OBJ out. I think Kupp, his route running on that last drive showed why he was the Triple Crown winner in the NFL, and his touchdown was probably the most clutch play, maybe aside from the Aaron Donald play, but for my answer, I'll say it's the most clutch play of the Super Bowl this year.
This will not affect the points you get, but I don't think Matt Stafford played particularly well in the game at all. I mean, in fact, before this is true, and we're happy for him getting a ring. But I recall thinking to myself before Kupp's big play, which seems he was the most important play. Before that, it was like, who's MVP exactly? No one in the Rams has done exactly that well. That said, Evan, I agree with your take, and you convinced me of it very well. I'm going to give you the 3 on this one. Carter, you'll be getting the 2, and Marcus, you'll be getting the 1. I know you said you should get double, but you gave 2 answers. 2 answers is basically no answers.
Yeah, I got negative.
5.5 equals 1.
We'll give him the full to be nice. Next, we're going to take a look at the losing side of the NFL's recent championship bout, the team I erroneously referred to as the team of destiny on last week's show, the Cincinnati Bengals. The good news is you had a great season. The bad news is you may need some Pedialyte and a couple Tylenol because you may be in store for the Super Bowl hangover. In one of the league's most bizarre phenomenon, only 3 of the last 27 runners-up have even reached the conference championship the following season, and nearly half missed the playoffs altogether. For the purposes of this question, we'll be focusing on the latter, missing the playoffs. Will the Cincinnati Bengals' bottle brown flu be so bad, be so severe, that they miss next season's postseason altogether? And on this one, we're starting with Marcus.
So I know historically, Super Bowl runner-ups normally don't do well the next year, as you said. You got the Falcons, who have completely imploded. You have the Rams from a couple years ago who didn't do that well. You had the 49ers from a couple years ago who got injured. Here's the difference between this Bengals team. This Bengals team has the 3rd most cap room in the NFL, behind the Jaguars and the Dolphins, who didn't even make the playoffs. This
far from it.
Yeah, this Bengals team wasn't even built to make the Super Bowl. They just got there through will. Like, if I'm a free agent, Armstead, J.C. Jackson, I'm looking at Cincinnati as a very attractive market because they need corners, so you don't want Eli Apple guarding Cooper Kupp ever again. I don't even know if you want him guarding anyone ever again. And then you need an offensive line. You can't give up 7 sacks in the Super Bowl and expect to win. You can do it against the Titans. You can give up 9 sacks to the Titans and still win, but you can't make it to the Super Bowl and expect to win. So I don't know. If I'm a free agent, I'm looking at Cincinnati and I'm thinking I could help them. So I'm not. Okay, this is a bold take. But I'm saying they do more than make the playoffs. I'm saying they make Super Bowl again. If this free agency class, they can do well. Now, I'm not going to be here next year for you to clown on me about that if I'm wrong, but yeah, I'll be off the face of the earth.
I won't be here next year either, but we will send a reminder if they miss the playoffs to clown on Marcus retroactively. Now, you're right, though. If the Bengals don't address the offensive line, then something is severely wrong. If they do, you're right. All the pieces that really got them there through sheer force of will still be around. Fair take overall. Evan, on you next.
I really like what Marcus said about the cap space because that is probably the most important thing for this offseason of the Bengals. But also I want to touch on the NFL draft, where this draft is probably the best offensive tackle class you'll see in a long time. There's about 5 guys who should be top 10 picks and probably would have been the #1 offensive tackle in a lot of classes just right there. So that means that once they get to the pick at 31, even though it's usually not a pick that gets a first-year impact player, there will be tackles available or even a guard that they can get and slot in right away and take the spot of the 2 backups that were playing in the Super Bowl who were kind of the reason they lost there at the end. Maybe not the only reason, but I am pretty confident that the Bengals will make it back to the playoffs. I think I'm less confident that they'll win the division, actually. I think that they are not going to get the conference championship. I think the Chiefs and Bills right now, they just seem like they'll be the teams to beat next year. I actually think, as much as I hate to say it, I don't know if I said it before, I'm a Steelers fan, but the Ravens are going to be a lot better next year with a fully healthy team. They were the most injured team in the NFL. Lamar is still a superstar, and J.K. Dobbins is coming back. They'll have better draft picks than they're used to. They have cap space, which they don't usually have. And I think, Steelers, Browns, I hate to say it, probably not going to be in the mix, but I think the Ravens will make the Bengals a wild card team next year.
Absolutely. It's important to bring up how stacked the AFC is going to be next year and presumably in the future and long term in the future to come. Now, I will say one thing. Drafting an offensive tackle is well and good. They should absolutely do it. But offensive line is a position where you don't tend to contribute too much in your rookie year. These guys need to develop a little more. That said, by the way, it is actually, I think it's more likely that they make the wild card than that they win the division. It's perhaps going to get back to being the most stacked division in sports. The Ravens slander has gotten a little out of hand, and I think next year they're going to prove that. Carter, you got a lot to prove on this answer. We're on to you next.
Well, I think the one thing we've learned in the past 3 years of football is you don't bet against Joe Burrow. Look, he is that dude at quarterback, and now the Bengals, like Marcus has said, have the third most cap space in the NFL, and they're a young team, and they've got a great draft of offensive tackles to now protect Joe Burrow. Look, Joe Burrow tore his ACL last season, sprained his MCL in the Super Bowl. If don't find an offensive line to protect him, he's not going to be around much longer for you. If the Bengals can address the offensive line, they will be back in the playoffs next year because the rest of the AFC North, frankly, is not looking very good. The Steelers are losing Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger wasn't all that great in his last season, but who do they have to replace him? Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins? Neither of those guys looked good whatsoever. The Browns are about to Karst, McKinley, and Jatavion Clowney, meaning that every offensive line will be able to center their attack on Myles Garrett, and the Baltimore Ravens have 11 defensive players looming in free agency. That's almost an entire defense. So I think the Bengals are returning the most talent, they're looking to get the most talent, and they've got a damn good quarterback.
Absolutely, and once you have the franchise quarterback, all I'm going to say is unequivocally the most important thing in sport. It's especially, I think to win a Super Bowl, you need a great overall roster. To get to the playoffs, you really just need a franchise quarterback. The Bengals have that. With that said, Marcus, you're going to be getting the 3 on this one, Evan the 2, and Carter the 1.
Woo! Let's go, Marcus! Woo!
Thank you.
They love you, Marcus. With an occasion such as this, many fans naturally try to evaluate the results in historical context, though this can be difficult to do in real time. One of the most common examples I've seen in the wake of the big game has been the evaluation of Matthew Stafford's legacy. With the slew of impressive counting stats, impressive longevity, and now a Super Bowl ring, there seems to be split opinion on whether or not he's worthy of being enshrined in the NFL Hall of Fame. So, panelists, let's settle it here and now. Is Stafford's career already worthy of a bust in Canton? And if not, what would he need to achieve in the coming years to put him over the edge? And on this one, we're starting with Evan.
He's not. He's not Hall of Fame. Sorry, Matthew. I rooted for you throughout your whole career. My grandpa's a Lions fan, so I had to kind of root for them for a while. But Stafford's a great quarterback, and I think we've gotten too used to, like in the sports culture, saying they're a Super Bowl away from this, they're a championship away from this. Stafford won his Super Bowl, did a great job, but that doesn't make him automatically a Hall of Famer. If we're being honest, this is one of the most stacked teams, one by one individually, you'll see in a long time. And so I think Stafford did a great job. I think there's few quarterbacks that could have them in the Super Bowl. I think a lot of quarterbacks could have won that Super Bowl, but that's kind of beside the point. But I think Stafford is one of those players that he's always been a top 10 quarterback in the league, and he's never had a bad season, but he's never really been top 3, even top 3 in the NFC, I would say. And I'd say there's kind of an Eli Manning line for me, where if you're better than Manning, you should be in the Hall of Fame. If you're worse than Manning, you shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Right now he's in the Eli Manning line, below him. I think he's below Eli Manning. And I'd say Stafford he'd probably need another Super Bowl and at least 2 more successful years to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think to get in the Hall of Fame at Eli Manning's skill level, you need multiple. So that's
what I'm saying. Eli Manning has the Super Bowl stats to elevate himself.
Absolutely. And to your point about multiple quarterbacks being capable of winning it for LA, if you throw two interceptions in the Super Bowl and your team still wins, they could have done it without you. That said, we're on to Carter next.
Pro Football Reference has a great database where they basically compile all the stats of Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and that average says that an average Hall of Fame quarterback has 2 Super Bowl championships. Stafford has 1. The average quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback should say, has 2 first-team All-Pro selections. Stafford has 0. The average Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback has 7 Pro Bowl appearances. Stafford has 1, and his overall record is 86, 95, and 1. I know he was on the Lions, and we can't hold him all accountable, but to say after 1 successful season in the NFL that he is a Pro Football Hall of Famer is not correct. He needs at least 4 more years of solid production in the stats category and a few more playoff wins to be a Hall of Famer.
Man, you just cooked Matthew Stafford. You just scorched him.
I thought I was good.
Man, Marcus, we're on to you next.
I'll tell you what, these 2 took my answers, and I already used my hot take on the question before. But okay, so when I first thought of this question, I was like, you know what, maybe. I mean, Matthew Stafford, great quarterback, always been on a really bad team. Maybe his counting stats make him a Hall of Fame quarterback. Then I did some research, and this is why research is good. I found out he's only made a Pro Bowl once. The only other accolade is Comeback Player of the Year, and then now he's a Super Bowl champion. Like, that is not Hall of Fame worthy, and I know we all love Matthew Stafford. where most of us love Matthew Stafford, but that's just not good enough, like they said. And a good comparable to me is like Drew Holiday in the NBA. Like Drew Holiday, we all love Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is a great player, but no one's advocating for him to make the Hall of Fame. He had an All-Star appearance in one of his first seasons, and he's recently came to the Bucks and helped them win a Super Bowl finals. But we're not saying Drew Holiday should make the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm not saying that Matthew Stafford won't make the Hall of Fame. He's 34, and Tom Brady won 4 Super Bowls after the age of 34. I know I'm not comparing him. I'm not comparing Matthew Stafford to Tom Brady. Tom Brady had much better teams than the Rams should have in the future. But I'm just saying it's not over yet. If Matthew Stafford can get like maybe like 3 more Pro Bowl nods, maybe 2 more Super Bowls, maybe we're looking at it in Canton. But that's far gone. It's
a tough call. His stats are great, but if you put him in, you have to put about 12 other quarterbacks in from his generation alone. It's just a tough call. I don't see it either, fellas. To be honest, I wanted to ask this question to address the concerningly large contingent of people who do think he should already get in. That said, Carter, you're going to be getting the 3, Evan the 2, and Marcus the 1. We've got to take a quick break, but it's all Texas sports when we come back. You won't want to miss it. Woo! Oh. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Before we get started, let's take a look at the scoreboard. Leading the show, we've got Evan with 7 points. Coming in second, we've got Carter with 6. And in third, we've got Marcus with 5. This is the closest game of the semester up to this point. So let's get back into it. This Saturday, in the world of college basketball, we'll see the highly anticipated rematch between the Texas Longhorns and Texas Tech. But this time, the Red Raiders will have to come down to Austin. With what seems like a very even matchup on paper, the result of their last matchup, a dominant Texas Tech victory, was a surprising standout. That said, we're asking the panel to predict Saturday's winner and to let us know whether they see their last meeting as an indicator of team quality or of the raucous environment the fans in Lubbock created for former head coach Chris Beard upon his homecoming. And on this one, we're starting with Carter.
Well, my heart wants to say that Texas will pull this one out because Texas Tech is 2-5 on the road. And I don't know if Tech has the emotional bandwidth to go back into Austin after playing in Lubbock that first time. But Trey Mitchell, the center for Texas being out, I think is the difference maker. Look, in the last game against Lubbock, the Red Raiders out-rebounded the Longhorns 37-28 and out-blocked them 7-2. Now you're going to take one of Texas's best big men out of the equation when Tech is already the better team in the post. I think that last game in Lubbock, yes, while the crowd played a factor, Tech is a better team right now and the more physical team, and for those reasons, I think Tech once again beats the Longhorns this Saturday.
Disappointing results, Carter. You should have gone with your heart. Marcus, we're on you next.
Drew, I'd like to say that I'm a positive person.
Oh, you too.
But being a Houston Texan fan and Houston Rockets fan has made me particularly pessimistic the last couple of years. And I don't know, the Texas team just doesn't look good enough to beat Texas Tech. I know we have a small sample size, but they lost by 11 points in understandably a very raucous crowd. I mean, like, if your former coach comes to your school and he left the way that he did, you're obviously going to be like very like ruckus and cause a lot of problems. But I don't think, even at home, I don't think Texas will have that high level of a home court advantage compared to Tech. In fact, I think a lot of people from Lubbock are going to come and like storm like the stadium just because like this is a huge deal for them. See, Texas doesn't really care about Tech like that, but they care about us like that. So
they're Super Bowl.
Yeah. So I don't see them winning, and I wish I did, but yeah.
I understand all your points. I agree. And just to round out, to make this a trifecta of Texas fans being snobbish, I mean, yeah, it's a rivalry game, but only on one side. It's unbelievable. Whatever. Evan, we're on to you next.
You know what? I will be the positive one here, and I will say that I do actually genuinely think that this is a Texas win. I think the home crowd, though we've kind of said Texas Tech's home crowd was better, which it is, Texas at home is a different beast from Texas away, and that Texas Tech game, we were never going to win that game. That was too hostile of a crowd for a team that's not really gelled yet together to one. But this team, even without Trey Mitchell, has a lot of good chemistry together, and I think as long as the shooters can get shooting, Courtney Ramey, unlike last game, needs to get hot early, and as long as we can shut down Obenar and Williams and at the front court, if Disu can do his job and if Bishop can do his job, I think it's still a possibility to win. I think it'll be a close game, possibly an overtime game, but being at home for Texas with 3 really good home wins, I think they can pull it out.
Absolutely. I think we can attribute it a lot to just the setting. Dad, if you're watching at home, he knows this. Anytime we're watching a Cowboys game, of course, Joe Troikman will mention like, oh, the quarterback of the other team, he grew up a Cowboys fan and he played his state championship game in Texas State or in Cowboys Stadium. When the other team comes in motivated, it's always a kiss of death. It's terrible. That said, Carter and Marcus, you guys are actually tying for the 3 on this one, and Evan, you'll be getting the 2. This Friday, Texas baseball will open up their season with the first in a 3-game series against Rice. Now, there's not much sport in predicting the outcome of a single game between the #1 ranked Longhorns and the overmatched Owls. John F. Kennedy said it best in his speech about the moon landing. Why does Rice play Texas? That said, the Horns had trouble closing out sweeps numerous times last season in numerous series. So what I want to know is, come this time on February 21st, will Texas be sitting at 3-0 heading into their next matchup? Or will their sweepless in Seattle tendency rear its head again and allow Rice to steal at least one of their 3 games in Austin? And on this one, we're starting with Marcus.
I tell you what, they better win all 3 of these games because they're the #1 team in the country. Like, that being a #1 seed is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you get the respect of like all your peers and like everyone, all the voters. But it's a curse because anything less than like a national championship is a disappointment. And going up against like you said, an overmatched Rice team, like they should and are expected to win, probably blow them out. So if they lose any of these games, I'm disappointed. And Texas fans should be disappointed just because like they're supposed to beat them like handily. So. Like,
yeah, I agree. If they're 2-1, they should disband the program. Evan, we're on you next.
Well, speaking of that, I actually think they will go 2-1.
Oh, no.
Hopefully not disbanding the program. I will say the Rice Owls team is actually a very good offensive team from last year. They actually hit about same average-wise as this Texas team, who made a run in Omaha last year. The real downfall of Rice is that they can't pitch. But I do think, one of these games, it might just be a slugfest and be like a 12-10 victory for the Owls. And I think with the Rice team being a lot older than Texas, it's harder at the start of the year when these young players were starting freshmen or redshirt freshmen for them to come in and already be ready to play. So I think one game might be dropped.
Absolutely. That batting average might be a product of playing in Conference USA, but at the end of the day, you got to put the wood to the ball. Carter, we're on you next.
Texas lost Ty Madden, their ace pitcher, but they do return Aaron Nixon as a closer, Tristan Stevens and Pete Hansen all in that starting rotation, not even to mention Tanner Witt, who can do a little bit of both. They have 7 guys on the first team, all Big 12 team, so they're returning a lot of production. And this team last year went 0-3 in SEC country to start the season. That's a sour taste in their mouth. They're going to sweep the Rice Owls at home.
Certainly, I hope they do. Carter, you're going to be getting the 3 on this one. Evan, you'll be getting the 2, and Marcus, the 1. We've got to take another break, but when we come back, it'll be for all the marbles, because up next is Rapid Fire. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back to College Crossfire, and I hope our panel is ready to think on their toes, because it's time for Rapid Fire, which of course means it's anyone's game. Despite record low ratings and a slew of disappointing performances from the United States, the Winter Olympics are going strong, though due to the factors previously mentioned, as well as the fact that most of the events are either hockey or different variations of going down a snow-covered hill, it seems things could stand to be livened up a little bit. So, panel, I want to know, what sport do you think would make a fitting addition to the Winter Games? Anyone can jump in.
Well, one of my favorite sports activities is dodgeball, and I think what we could do in the Winter Olympics is have a snowball fight with 12 guys on each side, country versus country, mano y mano. I think that could be a great sport to add to the Winter Olympics. Maybe make it like paintball rules. You get hit, you're out, and it's last man standing.
Aren't those dodgeball rules?
Yep, dodgeball, paintball, kind of all the same sports.
Very good points.
3 words. Forgot. No, snowman building contest. Have each country get their best snowman builders in the game. Have them just take an hour to build their best snowman they can. Add all the features. Add like the eyes. Maybe have it be like specific to their country. Boom. Winner wins gold.
This is very important to me. Are we going by prettiest snowman or tallest snowman?
Both. Tallest.
Interesting.
Sure.
All will be factored in. Very good.
Yes.
Evan?
I think just a classic from the childhood, the great snowball fight. I think every country, gets 30 minutes, create a whole fort with their best builders in the country. Just whoever is creative, take a whole fort for them, and then get as many snowballs as possible and just rain down whoever can break the other team's fort, kind of capture the flag style, or eliminate everyone else is the winner. I think USA would be dominating. I think we got the arms, we got the talent, we got the creativity, and that's what we want to see.
I like it. The best sports are things that people were just doing anyway. Soccer is kicking a ball. Basketball is people throwing a ball. Snowball fighting is snowball fighting. And for that, Evan, you are going to be getting the 2 on this one. Let's scroll down a little. Oh, we got it. Though the Super Bowl rotates among NFL stadiums every year, not all venues seem to be eligible. There has emerged a clear pattern of hosts that are either located in warm weather locations or have indoor stadiums. The NFL's clear desires to not let weather affect the game makes sense on paper, and also for it to only be hosted by NFL stadiums. These things make sense. But it feels a little underwhelming for America's favorite sporting event. So, panel, let us know, where would you like to see the Super Bowl held in the future? Any stadium on Earth? But the catch is, we are looking for wrong answers only. Anyone can jump in.
Now, I think we got to think about the toughest places in the world to play, and that's playing away at Dortmund in Germany. Now, I think it's important that we tell these Dortmund fans that it's Bayern Munich coming in to play. They know that American football is coming in to be played here. We get the two teams, Steelers obviously, and then let's say to the Cowboys for the Texas fans here. So those Cowboys, get them out to Germany and just tell no one in the country that this is an American football game. All the sports are coming out. They have fire. They got everything. They got smoke, big banners, come out in full gear. Well, it would be Steelers colors if it's Dortmund. And just cheering on their team. And next thing they know, American football is being played. But they're still cheering on for them. It's German people. They like to have fun, so.
Well, you did take the wrong answers only prompt very seriously by putting the Cowboys in. So, anyone else can jump in.
I think that we should build a football stadium at a Woodstock concert, so we have a concert going on with the best artists in America. We got a crazy group of fans, all inebriated, all ready to go, and then we're also playing a football game in the middle of it. Mass chaos, mass confusion, max pressure on the players.
Which artists?
I would go with Lil Pump, and I would also go with Aerosmith.
In the Super Bowl.
Lil Pump.
Get this. If it's in the Super Bowl, it's Lil Pump fake.
Yeah.
Burn.
Marcus?
Gucci gang, Gucci gang. No. I'm going to go with a homer pick here. I'm going to say DKR. And wrong answer because, well, I mean, I was thinking DKR, and then you said wrong answers only, and I couldn't think of anything else. So wrong answer because it's been rough on us football fans for Texas football, and we can't win anything. We might as well see the best football teams in the world play against each other at DKR. That'd be crazy though if that actually happened, like in Austin.
If this were right answers only, I would absolutely give you the points.
Yeah.
For this prompt, saying Texas A&M, or that would have been a great flip on it. That said, Carter, you're going to get the points on this one. And the win! Do we have time for FaceTime?
We do not.
We do not. Carter, tell me all about it after the show. So congrats to you, and thank you all for tuning in to tonight's episode of College Crossfire. Don't forget to follow us on social media at TSTV Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Lastly, be sure to wake up with the 1-0 Sports Show Friday mornings at 10 a.m. For all the panelists and everyone in studio and master control, I'm Drew Jacob. Have a wonderful evening.